What the Pel is up, everybody? This is Pelicans Plus with Elliot Clough now again on YouTube, riding solo here on YouTube by myself. And thank you so much for tuning in today. Before we get started today, make sure you go follow at Elliot Clough on Twitter, subscribe or follow depending on where you're listening to this podcast, including YouTube, and you drop a like and a comment there. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, you leave that rate and review if you're listening there. That really, really helps us out. And tell a friend about the podcast. That never hurts. Talking some Pels with your homies. So as this podcast always does, I started off hype and excited and ready to go. Because I am. I get paid to do this. I'm more than happy to do this, to record this show on a regular basis with a guest, without a guest. But today, like many of you, I feel a rant coming on. New Orleans, since the last time we recorded a podcast with Zach Noble of Noble and Rouge with Ball is Life, did our top 5 biggest surprises of the NBA season so far. It was fun. If you missed it, go check it out. Pelicans lost to the Jazz, 129-118. Fine. Jazz are a good basketball team. I was just on Home Court Press with Brian Peace and Priest. I hope I get that right. Anyway, he's Home Court Press on Twitter, and McCade Pearson, also McCade Pearson on Twitter. And I said it. They're a damn good basketball team. They move the ball well. They shoot the 3-ball well. They defend the rim, Rudy Gobert. And they've got an up-and-coming star in Donovan Mitchell, by the way, what Shaq said on live TV. Very dumb. So fine. You lose to the Utah Jazz. I think they're ranked, or they're sitting at third in the Western Conference, second or third in the Western Conference, up there with the Lakers and the Clippers, despite the fact that they don't cause very many turnovers. And then last night, as I'm recording this on Sunday, this will be posted Monday on all podcasting platforms. Of course, it'll be up on YouTube as I'm live streaming right now. Last night, the Pelicans lost to the fucking Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves. Not only is this team the worst basketball team in the NBA. The worst, dead last, worst record. It wasn't just the Timberwolves. We know they have Karl Anthony Towns. We know they have D'Angelo Russell. This was the G League Timberwolves because the Timberwolves didn't have Karl Anthony Towns or D'Angelo Russell. 120-110. Need I mind you, this was on the second half of a back-to-back for this G League Timberwolves team. Their best player last night was Naz Reid. LSU Naz Reid. A lot of you probably recognize that name because he played at LSU, who's averaging 11.7 points and 4.3 rebounds. Very minimal statistics. On a bad team. Scored 20 points for the Timberwolves last night. Their best player for them overall this season, minus D'Angelo Russell, minus Karl Anthony Towns, Malik Beasley, 6 of 18 from the field last night. 16 points, 6 rebounds. What? This Timberwolves team, their other wins against the Pistons, who are also awful, minus Jeremy Grant, 111-101. The Jazz, somehow they beat the Jazz. I have no idea how the frick that happened. 116-111 in Utah. Lost to the Lakers, the Clippers, the Wizards, who are god-awful. The Nuggets twice. The Trailblazers, the Spurs. They beat the Spurs once. They lost to the Grizzlies, the Hawks, the Magic, and the Hawks again. I believe it was somebody in Pelicans Twitter. I think it might have been David Fisher from the Bird Rights tweeted something to the effect of the Timberwolves being down 19 and it was in the third quarter and tomorrow would be a good win for the Pelicans because obviously he tweeted that in response to the Hawks win, and that was the first of a back-to-back for the Timberwolves. And guess what? The Pelicans fucking lost. if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, if you've been listening to me at all since the days of Believe in the New Orleans Pelicans, you know I'm a be patient kind of guy. You know I'm a let's be realistic, optimistic, but realistic kind of guy. That's who I am. And I don't think this season is lost. I don't. They're 5-10. The Pelicans are 5-10. There's been plenty of teams that have started off horribly and then proceeded to have good seasons. You know, we all like to reference the Miami Heat at 9-8. 9-8 is a hell of a lot better than 5-10. And this team is not the Miami Heat. So again, that was the first year of the Heat when they had the three dolls or whatever they called them, the big three that they had. And so I don't think this season is lost, but there are still things clearly that need to be done. Griff has been around for 1.25 season. Same for Trajan Langdon. Stan Van Gundy's been around for 15 games. But what the hell was that? The Timberwolves. This team, the Pelicans, looked flat from the get-go last night. That does not give off the aura, the energy of a young team that's excited to play basketball, that's excited to be under a new staff, that's excited with what they've got in the front office. That was not the energy this team gives. That was not the energy that Zion gave off at Duke when he was having fun playing basketball. And you know what? Even though they came out flat, they still had a lead at halftime by 1 point, 64-63. Yeah, they allowed 63 points to the Timberwolves in the first half. But when you're a good basketball team, you say, okay, time to buckle down. This is stupid. Let's win this game by 20. And that's what the Pelicans should have did. And guess what? They lost by 10. Is it possible? This is the question for me for the second half for the Pelicans. Is it possible? Think about this, and you can respond in the comments if you're on Twitter. Is it possible for a team to go below flat? Because that's what the Pelicans did in the second half, specifically the third quarter. You know how many points they scored against this Timberwolves team in the third quarter? This Timberwolves team whose best player is Malik Beasley, whose second best player is their first overall pick, who doesn't even start on this G League team. 14 points in the third quarter. 14. You heard that right. Not 4-0, 14 points. They got outscored 24-14 in that third quarter by this G League Timberwolves team. And there was a 4-minute stretch where the Pelicans didn't score a single damn point. Think about that for a second. What is that? And there's not much analysis for me to do of last night just because of how awful it was. I didn't even tweet a single damn thing in the fourth quarter last night because of how bad this basketball team looked. They were awful. Everybody's tweeting, everybody's saying, oh, they need to do this. This is awful. They need to be better at XYZ. There wasn't anything to say last night other than get these guys the hell off the court because they are playing like dog shit. And SVG didn't do that. And I'll get into that in a second because I want to keep to the structure of this podcast. Otherwise, I'm going to get all over the place. But in reference to Stan Van Gundy and some of the things that he said post-game last night in his media sessions, which if you're not able to find them, they're typically on Twitter, sometimes on YouTube. I would recommend watching them. Otherwise, if you can't follow along, I tweet out quotes, the main things that they're said, because there's a lot of kind of repetitive stuff in there too. So you can follow along at Elliot Clough when I do tweet out some quotes from the post-game press conferences. Now, two things that he said last night about the team's energy. Stan Van Gundy, this was the tweet that blew up for me last night. There's generally one tweet from each post-game press conference where we get a quote from Stan Van Gundy or Brandon Ingram or Zion or Nickeil Alexander-Walker or something like that, where Pelicans fans really latch onto it, and that's where the narrative goes. And this is the tweet last night that it was. Stan Van Gundy on the Pelicans' slow start. Quote, I have no idea. You can ask those guys. It can't happen if we're going to win. Why that happened, I don't know. And I didn't I didn't like the quote, believe it or not. I did not enjoy that in the slightest. But one thing, somebody brought it up. It got 20 quote tweets because it was just like, ugh. Somebody said it sounded reminiscent of Alvin Gentry. And that sounds about right to me. Fine. Yeah. Stan Van Gundy recognized the fact that the energy was low, that it was an issue. And Alvin Gentry basically refused to do that, especially in the bubble. But he couldn't pinpoint what the problem was. And when you're really a leader of a team, when you're really wanting to instill accountability, you pinpoint what the issue is because there was something there. Whether he wants to acknowledge it or not, whether he wants to share it with the media or not is one thing. Fine. We can give him the benefit of the doubt there, but you have to know what's wrong with your team. Like, are you tired? Is it because of the long road trip? Is it because of the lack of leadership? Is it because of the lack of individual accountability? Because he's pointing that out. He said that about these guys. He says each individual player needs to take accountability for himself because that's not happening. Well, make it happen. We're 15 games in. Fine. Again, I am the patient optimist. That is who I am, especially when I was on Pro Pals Talk this last week. I was the only one who was positive, unless Steven offered something positive, because what the hell is that? That is not what we were expecting as Pelicans fans when Stan Van Gundy came to the helm. It's not. It's not. Like, I liked the hire because of that. Like, he is a good defensive coach, too. He's known for that. Those are the two things. And this Pelicans team doing neither. That, I mean, I was refraining from making another analogy to my own life, but I think some people can relate to this. I know my friends from high school that were on these same teams can relate to this. I played basketball in high school for 2 years. I ran track. Track was my thing, and I was good at it. And I was tired of the way the culture was around the basketball program. And this is kind of what I'm seeing right now. Now, I'm not in it. I'm not around it. Fine. But what it appears to me is there's a disconnect coaching staff. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see me. But I have a fist here and a fist on the other side of the mic. There's a separation there. And neither side is relenting their pride and saying, you know what? I messed up. This is my fault. And I need to listen to XYZ. I need to listen to the coaching staff. And I was on a team with a coaching staff that blamed the players, and I was on that same team with the players blaming the coaching staff. And we are coaching staff blaming the players. That is ridiculous, especially when you're 50, 60-year-old man, whatever Stan Van Gundy is, because that's what appears to be happening. And like, I hate putting this negativity out there about this team 15 games in especially. But what's happening right now is not working. Like, bear with me there. Like, there is a clear divide in there somewhere where communication isn't going through. I mean, his unwillingness to play other guys on the bench that the fans are calling for, and you don't have to listen to fans as a coach, but that unwillingness to play guys like Kyra, like Wenyen, is ridiculous right now. Again, clear divide somewhere in there. And I'll get into that in a second again here. But let me transition to my second point, which is kind of going to hit that. Antonio Daniels brought this up last night on the broadcast, and I thought it was damn near perfect, the way he said it. Antonio Daniels, best color guy in the NBA with these Fox Sports affiliates, these local affiliates. He's been on a podcast of ours, Believe in the New Orleans Pelicans. He was awesome. Awesome guy, God-loving guy, God-fearing guy, really good dude. He didn't have to do that. He did. And he provides real basketball insight. Like, there's no BS. It's not the coverage that we get from ESPN. Antonio Daniels references his time playing. He references what he knows about the game and coaching, and he's awesome. He's great. He and Joel Myers kill it every single game. If you have the opportunity to watch local versus national, go local every time when it comes to these guys. Anyway, what he said last night is when he was on teams with the Spurs and teams that Greg Popovich has coached, Pop would pull all 5 starters if there was energy like there was last night against the Timberwolves. That's what he would do. Teams would come out flat. He's got Hall of Famer Tim Duncan. He's got championship winners and Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. Probably going to be Hall of Famers too. Kawhi Leonard, Antonio Daniels, David Robinson. He would take those guys out. If their starters are playing like that, he said, this is crap. Get off the court. This is ridiculous. Put the 5 bench guys in. If there was any time to do that, maybe Stan Van Gundy's never done that before. So whatever thing he's done in the past, it's time for that. It was time for that last night. Let's say that. When you're leading a team of grown men like that, right about then is when that should happen. Look, this is ridiculous. You're playing like crap. Get off the court. Get on the bench. Let me know when you're ready to go again. Maybe give me some energy. That is what we brought in Stan Van Gundy for. That's what this front office brought in Stan Van Gundy for, and he didn't do that last night. Not for a second. He just kept playing everybody. And fine. Like the thing that he said last night was he's not going to pull Brandon Ingram. And I'm assuming the rest of the guys in the starting 5, Steven Adams, Zion, etc. He said you can put in guys who aren't going to turn the ball over, referencing the fact that Brandon Ingram had 7 turnovers last night. But not everybody's going to go get you 30 points. Fine. It's true. Probably only 2 guys on this team are capable of doing so. The ones we've seen do it. Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, maybe Eric Bledsoe if he hits a hot streak like he does on occasion. Or if Lonzo Ball could be consistent from 3. I don't know what his career high is, but anyway. What he did after that was he referenced a quote, an old coaching axiom is the way he said it. You can lose with anybody. Okay. And he did say that if the guys continue to lose, continue to play the way they have been, lack of defensive intensity and effort, energy, he'll start to look to different players. That's what he said. Whether that means from the bench, whether that means he's going to talk to Griff about going out and getting guys, I don't know. But Christian Clark of NOLA.com does an awesome job asking questions. He asked him about it last night, and Stan was honest. And Stan, if there's one thing we can give Stan from this position as a member of the media, he's very... I hope you didn't hear that. It sounds like there was just a crash outside my door, or outside on my street. Anyway, it was very loud. Christian Clark asked an awesome question. Here we go. So what he said was something to the effect of he's not going to pull guys who can score 30 points. And fine. Like, whatever. And then he added he has faith in these guys that they're going to turn it around. He initially said that he has confidence in this team to turn it around, and fine, okay, whatever you say. But then he changed his wording and said he initially said, changed his wording from confidence and said that he has faith in this team that they'll turn it around. Believing in things unseen is the way he said it, because he hasn't seen that from this team yet. And you're damn right. You haven't seen squat from this team other than that 4-2 start and that measly win against the Sacramento Kings, who has the worst defense in all of basketball. Congrats. Okay. Cool sentiment, Stan. Fine. I'm going to stay the course of this season on this episode because I don't want to get all hindsighty. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say, well, if we hired Will Weaver or, you know, I think staying the course of this season is what's fair right now. Again, 15 games in, no need to say any of that because I almost started. I'm just going to say, if you're going for a rebuild, hire the rebuild coach and build with him, like Kenny Atkinson or Will Weaver or something like that. Because Stan Van Gundy was a transition from a coach that doesn't fit the staff or doesn't fit the culture and let's win now kind of coach. He can teach these guys. Again, he tore it down from its foundations and everything like that, but it's a quick shift, get our defense talented and let's get better in the half court and we'll win some games. That's what that hire was, and he hasn't been that so far in these 15 games. He just hasn't. Like that's just the truth. Whether you want to blame the players for not accepting the change of culture or what have you, whatever. I think there's blame from top to bottom. But as I was saying, I'm going to stay the course right now. I'm not going to say, why not hire Will Weaver? Why not hire Kenny Atkinson, etc. But I will say this. Why not play Kira Lewis last night? Lewis played 0 minutes. 0-0. None. Nothing. Why not give Wenyen and Gabriel his first minutes of the season last night? I advocated for this guy before free agency even started, and they got him late. I loved the pickup. I wanted him anyway, and they got him, and they're not doing a damn thing with him, and he's healthy. Fine, he was hurt early on. And fine, he might not know the offense as well as the rest of the guys. And if he doesn't, that isn't that big of an issue for me because they clearly don't know the offense all that well either. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to foul, but he's going to give a shit. And these guys did not give a shit. This was the worst team in basketball that the Pelicans played last night. They lost to a G League roster, and Stan Van Gundy changed nothing about what was going on. Nothing. Kira Lewis, nothing. Wenyen Gabriel, 0. What the hell was that? That game last night was the time. I said it about the Greg Popovich 5 in, 5 out thing. Last night was the time to say, you're playing awful against the worst team in all of basketball. I think it's time that you sit on the bench or you contribute. Tell me when you're ready to go. Because I know Wenyen's going to give it to me, and I know Kira Lewis is going to give it to me because they feel like they have something to prove. Clearly, you don't. Get on the bench. That includes Lonzo Ball, who's trying to get a payday. That includes Eric Bledsoe, who's at the end of his career. That includes Steven Adams, who just got a contract. Prove it. Zion Williamson is out there giving effort. I mean, he wasn't great last night. He didn't give it the whole night, but he gave it to a degree, and he's the first overall pick. Brandon Ingram, what the hell? Earn your max contract. Fine, 30 points. Scored 20 in the first quarter, scored 10 the rest of it. Was horrible the rest of the game. JJ Redick at the end of his career, 0 of 6 from 3. What the fuck? I just don't get it. I don't. I mean, there's a difference in my mind's eye of asking your guys to figure it out and not coaching them at all. And Stan Van Gundy did neither. He didn't ask them to figure it out. His energy was low. He didn't change a damn thing. Like, this is why you were brought in. This is where you come in as Stan Van Gundy and say, what the hell, guys? This is ridiculous. This isn't high school basketball. I'll put the other guys in. There's talent on that bench. He didn't do a damn thing different. The thing is, Kira and Wenyen would have given effort. And you can go down the list of these other guys on the roster. Najee Marshall's on a 2-way contract. He's trying to earn time. And I know players, but other guys in the media have said that he's going to be a good wing player. Fine, give him some minutes. Willie Hernan-Gomez trying to earn some. I mean, Sedarius Thornwell got a 1-year contract. Let him prove it. Anybody but Nicolo Melli, because you know that dude's not going to do crap. You're a new coach. That's the thing. You're a new coach. Establish the accountability now. I don't get what the hell that was last night. You're 15 games in. Yes, that's what I've been saying. That's why I'm optimistic. That's why I say patience. But you're 15 games in. Establish something. Establish accountability. Establish a standard. Yes, you want to play by your players' standards or coach by your players' standards, but have your own standards too. as a coach at this level, because what they did last night, never going to cut it in the NBA. Never. And yes, put it on these players. Don't just put it on Stan Van Gundy. That's not my goal here. He is the leader of this team. He is the head coach, but put some on the players too, because they had a lot to do with it. But, I mean, they didn't give a damn. But put some blame on Stan Van Gundy too. Oops. I was totally stranded. Hopefully you didn't hear that on YouTube. ESPN likes to play those ads at random. And look, there's blame to go all around. Players, Stan Van Gundy, Griff too. Because I said it from the get-go. I wanted to give this roster a chance before we made a diagnosis that it was bad. I did. I remember I recorded this in my kitchen because I didn't want to wake up my roommates on the other side of my apartment. And I was upset because guys were saying, you need spacing, Steven Adams, which I am still behind Steven Adams. He's the only guy on this roster who can get a board and play defense. And he didn't really do that last night either. I wanted to give this team a chance. I wanted to give this roster a chance. But we're getting close to that 20-game mark where you can tell if a team is good or bad. And 5-10, clearly showing that this team is bad. I've said it quite a bit as of late. You got 4 guys that are in the starting lineup and Brandon Ingram. 4 guys who can't shoot in Brandon Ingram. Your top 15 shooter in the league can't get anything off because the defense can sag towards him all night. Keep an eye on him. Help D all night. Nah isn't comfortable unless he's starting, and he's a good shooter if you give him that time to get into a rhythm, and he should be a starter. Chris Connor and I said it however long ago, and we talked about it with Ollie Cosell as well. This team is better with Eric Bledsoe off the bench. He's an energy guy off it. He'll do the hustle plays. He's leading the team in three-point percentage somehow. He can play the point since God knows Stan Van Gundy doesn't want to give Kyra minutes and has been putting the ball in Na's hands, who says he's a 2-guard. We had that stretch without Lonzo, without Eric Bledsoe, 1 game without Zion. And we saw what happened. Played a lot of Kyra, 16 minutes. That's a lot for him. Played a lot of Na, scored 37 points. Not going to happen every night. But nothing changes. I just don't get it. 15 games, 12 with your entire team, Lonzo, Eric Bledsoe. Looking like it's a big enough sample size. Honestly, like, we're not saying whether or not these guys have a good career, had a good career, etc., based on 12 games. This is this season. This is the fit with this team. I think it's enough. Like, nothing has changed. We can't keep hearing they have to have more pride and effort on defense. It's like, you can say that, but then do something about it. Like, fine, sure, do something about it. Make a trade, whether it involves Lonzo, Eric Bledsoe, what have you, or cut guys or something. If you want to play the patience game, play the patience game. Give the keys to Kyra. Give the keys to Na. Let them develop. Give it to the young guys is what I'm saying. Let them develop. They can lose, but let them get better for going forward. Give them those minutes, because you said it yourself, Stan Van Gundy, you can lose with anybody. Might as well get Kyra out there. Might as well get Wenyen out there, because they're young and they're going to give a damn. That's been a brewing for a while, if you can't tell. Folks, thanks so much for tuning in today. We will talk what the next step is here on Pelicans Plus, what's going to happen with the New Orleans Pelicans going forward here. We'll be getting Mason Ginsberg of Bourbon Street Shots on the podcast coming up here soon. So we'll be talking what his thoughts are. You can tell based on his Twitter that he's going to be a little more patient than a lot of people. And so we'll we'll see what his thoughts are. Again, I tend to lean that way of optimism, of positivity, of patience, and it's starting to run a little bit thin, especially after a loss as such. Because if there's time to freak out, it's after a loss like that. Let me tell you. So, Pels fans, I am Elliot Clough. Go follow at Elliot Clough on Twitter. Make sure if you're on YouTube, you hit that subscribe and like and comment button. Let us know what your thoughts are on the Pelicans, how they can get better, how they can fix what's going on. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, subscribe or follow depending on which platform you're listening on. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave that rate and review. It really, really helps us out. Even have a friend do it, because that's what I've been doing over time, having people do that for me, even if they don't listen. So please do that. We appreciate it greatly. Again, go check out the YouTube channel as well. Subscribe over there, drop a like, drop a comment. We're trying to build that as well. Pels fans, thanks so much for tuning in today. I am Elliot Clough at Elliot Clough on Twitter, and this was Pelicans Plus, brought to you by Boot Crew Media. Go check out their website.